This is total.
Hey, what the hell are we recording?
Yeah, and you're screwing up the intro.
What about my part? It's supposed to be our podcast, right?
Come on, man. I'm trying to be professional about this.
You know damn well there ain't nothing professional about what we're doing here. Welcome to Totally Unprofessional. It's Manuel and Justin, his two best friends shooting the breeze about nothing and about everything. We're separated by 10 years, 2 points of view on every subject from 2 different generations. Listen as we talk sports, events, and anything else that might come up. There's nothing professional about what we're doing here, hence the name, Totally Unprofessional. All right, welcome back. We're episode 13?
No, 15. It's
15. After our Friday off, we're back on this Friday. Everybody's back in town. Everybody's chilling out. We got some good response to the cricket eating that I had to endure on Monday. What was funny was later on after that competition, I was picking up my teeth. I was like, "What the hell is that?" And I pulled a wing out of my tooth.
Yeah,
cricket wing. That was pretty nasty. I think that grossed me out more than the actual taste.
I think your best quote in the video is you going, "Make sure you know your shit about your team," because I didn't.
Neither one of us did on that one. That's
hey, the winner I did, so it worked.
But if you saw the look on his face when he was trying to think about it, it looked like
it was all up there. I just had to dig.
He was throwing darts. He was throwing darts. So we've had an interesting couple of days here. We'll finish off with the finals since that's probably going to encompass
it's the biggest thing.
Most of the show. We have.
We'll start off with the UFC fights tomorrow.
Yeah.
The undercard, I don't really know too much about, but the main event and the co-main event are going to be good. Co-main event, Donald Cowboy Cerrone and Patrick Cote. Cerrone back at it again. I would like to see him kick the dude's head off. This is a challenge for him because Cote's a bigger guy. He's a stronger guy. So this is where we're going to find out about Cerrone moving up a little bit here in weight and see where he's at with that.
What are the? Have you seen the odds at it?
I haven't. I didn't see what the odds were. Main event.
If you're wondering why we're always talking odds, it's because these are real popular for us to bet on. If you know your money lines and stuff, sometimes you can get some very good money lines on some of those fights. Back at what was it, 196? I went in with a couple of guys from work and we got 4-1 on $400. You know, and just taking 2 underdogs who were not even big underdogs. They were like minus 150 or something. Wasn't even big, but you take 4 of them and they all win. You know, Diaz beat McGregor that night. Tate won. I can't remember the other 2, but it was a pretty good night.
Yeah, and definitely with Manuel going to UFC 200, we'll definitely be having some money on the books for sure when he's out there.
Definitely.
The main event is Wonderboy Thompson versus Rory McDonald. And Rory hasn't fought since we saw him last summer. So it's been about 11 months since Rory's fought because of all the injuries. He had a shattered nose. He had a broken orbital socket.
It was pretty jacked up.
I mean, it was a wicked thing, man. But, I mean, a lot of fighters will say, you don't fight, you don't eat. You know, so to take a year off, you know, that's a long time to be sitting. And Thompson, we'll see. We'll see where he's at. Rory's a good measuring stick for him, and we'll see how it goes. Like I said, the undercard I don't really know too much about. I don't really know how much of it's going on. I know the weigh-ins were today because the fights are tomorrow night. So
you got Beal and Soto. You got Beal at plus 100, Soto minus 140. Covington and Muner. You got Covington at a minus 288 and Muner at a plus 232. Other fights on that card? Gene Herrera, Ali Bogdatov. Herrera's a 156 favorite. McDonald and Thompson. You got McDonald at a minus 150.
Yeah.
Leandro Silva, Jason Sago, 126. Silva's a plus 126. That's an interesting roll there. You got Joanne Calderwood and Valerie Letourneau. Calderwood's a 130, plus 130. Lieberger and Marcos. I'm looking for names on here that might matter to us.
Yeah.
I don't really see anybody else. And then Cowboy Cerrone's a minus 135.
Yeah.
So could be potential. There's also Bellator tomorrow night, right?
Is there?
There is Bellator tomorrow.
The UFC fights are taking place in Ottawa.
Actually, I'm sorry. Bellator's today.
Oh.
Bellator's tonight. You got Galvo and Dantas too. I also got Salter and Housley, Parlo and Honeycutt, Goncalves and Jokunai, Galvo and Dantas. Yeah. So you got a lot of fighting going on this weekend. Should be pretty interesting if you're really into MMA outside of UFC if you're following it.
So yeah, that's going on tomorrow, and then as of yesterday, the U.S. Open started.
U.S. Open started. The great thing about having technology these days is you have the ability, if you have the phone and you have unlimited data like yours truly, you can pretty much watch it and listen to it all day. So I pretty much turned it on in the morning and had my earphone in at work all day and just kind of listened to it as I was going throughout about my day, going to my work. It was rain shortened though. It was over at Oakmont. Yesterday was supposed to be the only day that they had bad weather. Most of their guys that were in the middle of their round or started their round late yesterday actually finished their first round and second round today.
Oh, wow.
Tomorrow morning they got to finish the back half of the second round, which was most of the leaderboard.
And then
they're going to try to... I think they should be able to get all 3 rounds done by the end of tomorrow so that they can finish their scheduled completion on Sunday like normal. Father's Day weekend is always U.S. Open.
Yeah.
So not a lot of big names on the leaderboard. It's a little different than normal. The course was playing, like I said, it rained yesterday early, and they had 2 shortened delays like for 2.5 hours or something like that. So those of you who know golf courses, if you've played places, U.S. Open is the toughest course. It doesn't really matter where it is. Everybody always extends it, makes it long, makes the greens fast. The roughs are thick. That's just the way they roll there. Their whole goal is to make the pros look like not pros. Well, with a little bit of rain, it softened the greens. They were a little bit slower. Played a little easier for some guys. And what's funny was there's only 2 names on the leaderboard as of this point that you would say, yeah, those guys will be good in that situation. Dustin Johnson and Lee Westwood. The other 3 names, you got Andrew Landry, 4 under. He's tied with Dustin Johnson at 4 under. Now Johnson's done with his 2 rounds. Landry's got to finish. I believe he finished out his 18th hole from the first round. First thing this morning, and they didn't send him back out. So he's with the group that goes back out first thing tomorrow. And then you got him tied with Dustin Johnson at 4 under, Westwood at 3 under by himself, and then you got Lowry and Piercy at 2 under. I was able to watch a little bit of it today because they're continuous coverage. Any of the majors, they get continuous coverage. Mickelson's like 5 or 6 over right now. Jason Day is like 6 over.
How many of these guys are like this is their first outing? Because as we've talked about in the past, if you're a new listener, Manuel's goal is to become a professional golfer. He's been on that path for a while. He had to take a little bit of a break here in the last year or so because his daughter went to college and got to do what you got to do, make sure the kids are squared up first. So, and when you do something like that, for those of you who don't know, even on an amateur circuit, you're traveling many places and long distances.
Oh yeah.
I know in years past where I've caddied for you, we went all over the place.
Yeah.
And, I mean, talk about playing hours and hours away. Santa Barbara, Palm Springs, Merced. That's just to name a few off the top of my head.
Let's not forget Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas. I mean, there's a lot of places that you got to travel in. And don't get me wrong, if you win like you have, you do get paid, an amount, but it's not what people think.
You get paid an amateur amount, which means you can only get paid so much to keep your amateur status.
Yes.
There are additional things like on the amateur tour that I play on. The skins is where you win your money.
Right.
And in Vegas, I happened to win 2 skins over there. And an amount.
Explain what a skin is.
A skin is if you have the lowest score on the hole amongst your group. So, like for me, I won 2 skins. If I remember right, there were 34 guys in my flight that day. Each guy kicks in $20 for each day, and the pot grows. And if somebody wins the hole outright within the group, you take the money. So the less holes that are won, the more money each skin could potentially be worth. You could potentially have 1 skin for all the money if there's a bunch of ties going on it, because there's got to be an exclusive winner. Right. Well, I had 2 holes. I had a par 5 that I hold out on. I hold a third shot for an eagle. That one, I believe, that was the first day. That was like $280 skin. And then the second day, I hold out a birdie from like 130 yards or something on a par 5, on a long par 5. And that one was about $400. So, the skins don't count as actual winnings per se.
Right.
Cool thing was back in 2009, I was like my 2nd or 3rd year on that amateur tour. I actually got to play with the group from San Joaquin Valley that represented this area in that amateur tour. It was the last time they had a team nationals, so we went to nationals. And that year they were giving away pretty cool prize pack for the winning team. Well, I was on the team that ended up winning. That's another trophy I got to show you one of these days. I'm sure you've seen it, but 2009 national champions. They were supposed to send 3 guys or 3 people from that team to the Irish Open, the Pro-Am. It would have been cool, you know. So they go around and they start asking after we went, okay, who wants their name in the hat? We're gonna put everybody's name in the hat and draw. That's the first place. Okay, yeah, man, everybody raises their hand. Of course, there was 12 of us, if I remember right. And he says, okay, so the condition of this is if you take this, because we figured out in the past that this surpasses the amount of money that you're allowed to be paid out in an amateur event. So if you win and you take this,
you now become considered a professional.
You are now a professional golfer, and you will not be able to golf and keep your amateur status. So, needless to say, all 12 of us backed out. You know, it's just like, if you can't play amateur, I mean, especially at that point, you're talking 7 years ago for me. I mean, I was, you know, I was 3 flights back, I think then. I could barely break 90 most of the time. So, it's a cool experience. But for you asking about first-time golfers there, okay, so you have your qualifying tournaments, which they run like section and then region and then like Western U.S. or stuff like that. There are a bunch of first-timers out there. Those guys technically do not fare very well, only because this course is playing like nothing they've ever played before.
Right.
There used to be a course up north, west of Merced, called Stevenson Ranch. Beautiful course, like literally out in the middle of nowhere, but beautiful. Kept up well. Greens are some of the fastest. Actually, those are the fastest greens I've ever played. I've never played a green faster than that. Stimped somewhere around 11 or 12. For an amateur, that's pretty fast. For those of you that don't know, that's how they measure green speed, is with a stimp meter. Those were 11 or 12 if I remember right, and those things were fast. You could touch the ball on a flat surface and watch that thing roll 10 feet easy on a real little tap. So they're saying, yesterday I believe I saw someone mention, these are stimped at 14. And these greens are sloped to where if you hit the green in the wrong spot and you tap that ball, you could potentially be looking at from a 2-foot putt, your first one, to a 15-foot putt your second time. And I saw it happen a couple of times today, so it was pretty cool. You'll have a handful of them. Of course, you'll have your U.S. Amateur Champion and the runner-up that will get automatic bids to the U.S. Open and the Amateur. The English Amateur Champion, he will come over too, and they give a couple of exemptions to some other guys. So there's a handful of guys. I know Bryson, I can't think of his last name, but Bryson Chambro, I think is how you say his last name. Where are you at, Bryce? DeChambeau. That's the last year's U.S. champion. He's sitting right now at 1 over, which is not bad.
Right.
You know, he's got another round to play. He's got a second round to play, but look for the cut line to be somewhere probably around 5 back, maybe 6. They're going to try to shorten the field and make sure they can get everybody back in and finish on schedule. But it's at Oakmont Country Club, Oakland. Again, the weather's supposed to... It cleared up late yesterday, like last night. Course was beautiful shape today, but you could see it was stiffening up. By tomorrow, that thing's going to be throwing the knives at everybody. I wouldn't be surprised. The leaders are at 4 under. I wouldn't be surprised to see them somewhere around 1. It would not shock me one bit. So Dustin Johnson looked good. Another guy who looked good to be hitting the ball real straight today, Adam Scott, looked to be performing real well. Jason Day just looks out of funk. So does Mickelson. You're wondering, I'm questioning whether Mickelson still has it in his heart to want to play. I think he separated himself from the game a little bit, and that's why he's not performing the way he used to. Mm-hmm. But, you know, it's Mickelson, man. That guy, he'll shoot 80 one day and 50 the next.
Right.
So that's the way that guy rolls. But golf-wise, that's the weekend for golf. For Father's Day, I always get to sit down on Sunday and watch that. The girls will bring me beers.
Do you watch it in peace, is the question.
Well, yeah, because they know. I used to go golfing on Father's Day, but I was like, I try to stay home. And now that the girls, they got golfing in their past, they'll like that. Like Jasmine was sitting with me earlier. I was watching it, and she's yelling at the TV. It was pretty cool. There's some good shots made. One guy exploded. He slammed his club on the ground a couple of times. It was pretty funny. But, yeah, they leave me alone. Jasmine will probably watch it with me. She's more into it. She was actually asking me when she could go play. So it'll just depend on her. But, yeah, we'll sit down Sunday. We'll watch it. That's one of my favorite things to watch. There's always monumental collapses because that court – they set those courses up to not be forgiving at all. And it's very awesome to see that. I love to see a professional look like an amateur. Makes you not ashamed of doing some of the things.
I was going to say, does it make it feel more like...
Yeah, because...
Like they're touchable.
Well, you played with me one time. Yes. We were out playing one time, and I think we were through 15 holes, and I had hit all 14 greens in regulation, all 14 fairways. The ball pretty much hadn't moved. It was pretty much on a rope the whole day, And then I finally hit one bad shot, and I remember you looking at me going, man, you are human. And that's the difference between a pro and the amateur, though. And I think I shot 73 or 74 that day, but it was funny because I like to look at, we watch these guys, you give them our course, they're going to shoot probably 60, 58 maybe, These guys, they just chew these courses up that aren't extended distance-wise, or the rough isn't thicked up, And these guys don't hit every fairway. What makes these guys good is they do play out of the rough good. Their relief shots are always on point. Everything that they do to get themselves out of trouble most of the time works. There will be the occasional guy that has problems, but most of the time these guys can get themselves out of those situations. That's why they're pros.
So, for you personally, do you have a timetable or a goal set for when you want to be, not necessarily in the pro status, have your pro card, but back in the swing of things on the regular, where you're back on, got the ball rolling, everything's...
That'll probably be in like 2 weeks here. I've already started working out. We started working out again this week to kind of get back in shape. Got the eating going.
Got a new workout that I chose that is kicking his ass.
And you know what? I'm glad he picked the one. But last night I sent him a text and I said, "You asshole, this is kicking my ass." I'm doing everything to failure today. I've been doing everything to failure. So I'm taking it until I can't push anymore, and then stopping the set. What's funny with me is my legs are strong. I don't want to seem like I skip leg days. My legs are strong, but taking your legs to failure is a lot different than taking your upper body to failure. I took my upper body to failure last night, and last night was chest. And I'll tell you what, I've never done that many bench presses in my life. I'm sure I haven't. The first one was 3 sets of 20.
Yeah.
That's your warm-up, and then you go 5 sets of 12, and then you go to an incline, then you go to a decline. And it's just, I've never had that before, so it left me pretty sore.
Yep.
But I've gotten back on the track. I have a swing plane trainer out here on my patio. I've been hitting that, about 5 minutes every night, grooving the bottom part of my swing. I'm hoping within 2 weeks to be back close to form. I did play in a tournament
2 weeks.
2 weeks ago, I think it was, on a Sunday. A good friend of mine actually won it. The boys coach. He had a very good round. He's a good golfer. It's like anything else. It may be a little more extreme, but when you're not playing, you lose certain parts of the game. Runners, they lose their finish first, Basketball players, I would imagine it's the attack point. They just can't take that first step. In golf, it's the same thing. You lose something when you don't play. The brilliance of golf is I shot par on one 9 and 9 over on the other 9. How is that possible? You're not supposed to be able to do that. Well, I was struggling, finding myself. I wasn't willing to let go of certain clubs. I kept saying, I got to hit this club. I got to be able to hit it. Well, there's times you just got to pick up and change it. You got to put the driver away, pull the 3-wood, and deal with whatever distance is you're left, and climb your way back in. I refused to do that. When I finally did that is when I settled down. So it can be a frustrating thing. So I'm back in the swing with that. So I think within a month, I would think by mid-July, I'm probably going to be back into form, which for me, when I stopped last year, I was somewhere, my handicap, it's a 7 or 8, I think is what it is right now, listed on NCGA. I was playing down to about a 2 or 3 most days. You find me shooting 74, 75. Broke par for the first couple of times last year. I did it 3 times. I did it once this year, early in the year. I don't know how, because I hadn't been playing. It's pretty funny. Just showed up and shot everything, and everything lined up. And did it from a decent distance. I'm not doing it from 5,900 yards. Like, guys, that's not what I do. I'm doing it from 6,800 yards, 7,100, whatever that measurement is out there. So it's not all flash and pizzazz. It's as much a grind as anything. I got a lot of respect for golfers, not just physically, mentally. Your ability to let go of what just happened, whether it was good, bad, or otherwise, you got to be able to push forward. So I'm hoping. I did throw. It was funny. I was telling you about the Fresno Classic. How I wanted to do that next year. What's funny is if I don't know if I'll be able to play continuous golf and prepare for that, because the thing about competing in the Fresno Classic, that's a bodybuilding contest for those of you that don't know. I'm going to put on a lot of muscle.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be bulky.
Well, okay, so let's preface that by saying when we originally first got into seeing magnificent results in the workout, not when we first started, but once we had got the hang of things and we started picking tougher workouts where we were really building on something. We had a strong foundation at that point. We were really going heavy, not bodybuilding heavy, but we were pushing heavy weights. We were seeing the results that we had been pushing for early on. Now it was about getting those results and taking it a step further. I know because I saw it and we got to play with it a little bit. Manuel has a gadget that you put on your golf glove and it's connected through, I believe it's like Bluetooth
It's a
type
Bluetooth
deal
connection to the
iPad.
Yeah.
And it shows you a virtual 3D layout of your swing and what the plane would be. So it shows you how far off the swing plane you are. It tells you how fast your club head speed is. It tells you everything that you would want to know if you're a golfer.
It's a swing coach.
Working on that. Yes, a swing coach. And for a long time, I told Manuel, I will trade you basketball lessons for golf lessons. And so I got out there and I used it. He let me use it a little bit. And I remember like looking at some of the stuff that I was doing, and you were even a little bit kind of taken back at how clean the planes that I had and stuff like that. And I wasn't a golfer, and I had been told previously, like, how come I didn't play in high school and stuff like that. But golf was never something that I was like huge on until after, as I got older.
It's an adult thing.
Yeah, and now, you know, it's fun to go out and play around. Not necessarily with you, because it's hard to watch when you hit like shit and you're out here killing the ball. But, you know, just in general, it's a good time for the most part, and you get to relax. But for you, I know what I saw with me and how it changed me, and the stuff that I did as far as basketball and playing, you know, sports for fun on the side and stuff like that. How much of a difference in velocity and, you know, being able to have muscle control in your swing, because people don't understand. If you don't understand golf swing, a lot of what you do in adjustments, like in basketball, if you take a bad shot, you should know, if you're a good shooter, where it felt wrong. Whether you put too much of your left hand on it or you didn't use enough leg. There's certain muscle control in there, but for the most part, it's all about technique and form. In golf, there's technique and form for sure, because the harder you try, the worse you're going to be. Yeah. But at the same time, if you have that muscle control and can channel that where you need to, it becomes a whole different ballgame. And that hit real heavy for you when we hit that.
It did, actually, because I had a swing coach from Visalia. I forget the guy's name. He was an older guy. And it was funny because he was starting to explain the technicality of the golf swing, the swing plane, your hand speed, stuff like that. And the first thing he did was tell me, stop trying to swing like a little guy. He said, you're not a little guy. If you've seen me on Facebook, I got broad shoulders. You know, I got big shoulders. I got big arms.
You got broads in Atlanta?
Yeah. I'm not supposed to be trying to swing like someone half my size or something. You know, so he shortened and condensed me and explained to me that with me, it wasn't going to be swing speed. It was going to be about being able to harness my power in a short distance and turn on the ball. When I figured that out, which ironically wasn't for 6 or 7 years and after my first lesson with that guy, when I figured that out, it was like, hey, I don't have to try to do these things that these little guys do. I just got to learn what I do. Well, when we started working out, we started seeing the results. I picked up about 30 yards because my ability to not just be stronger, I didn't just get stronger when I worked. The strength translated to power. Much like hitting a baseball or a softball, you know, when you get that pure feeling of hitting a ball, if it takes off, it's a good feeling because you know you had power for it. Well, I used to swing a bat pretty good before. I had pretty good hand-eye, but I didn't have any raw power. You know, when I put the bat on the ball, I could get a hit, but it just didn't feel like raw power. Well, after we got done with our first round of working out, and we were on it for about 7 months straight, I think, if I remember right. 6 or 7 months. And we got to Vegas, and I started hitting the balls, and there was just something felt different.
Well, not even there. I don't remember if it was before or after. Maybe you have a better memory on this than I do. When we were at Tierra Rajada, and you hit that 4-iron.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we were up. That was down in L.A. We were at Tierra Rajada, and everybody's pulling out their driver, and I'm looking at the fairway, and I'm going, my driver's been a little bit left and right. There's no room. We literally had a cliff on one side and a little bit of
which, mind you, just as a side note, when you walk up to Tierra Rajada, there is a literal sign up front that says "Beware of rattlesnakes." When you're the caddy, if you're caddying or if you know anybody who's not necessarily a professional golfer, but somebody who's an amateur golfer or somebody who golfs regularly, if they're they're rich and they prefer to golf, they're high up and where they get to golf weekly and stuff like that, you would know that their bag is straight up cash. Like, I mean, and we've talked about how much money's in your bag, and it's in the 4 figures. Yeah. So, and I straight up said, if I see a rattlesnake, your bag's gone, buddy. Kiss your bag goodbye. So, but while we were there, yes, on one of the holes, there was a cliff on one side. And
so if I remember right, it was about a 340-yard hole, 330. And you don't really need to drive it. I mean, you could if you're pinpoint. But I didn't. I put down the driver, picked up a 4-iron, right? That was what I was.
Yep.
Everybody drove. I pulled out the 4, and I smacked the ball down the fairway about 265, 270 yards. Outdrove everybody. Whatever, the guy that was making me laugh, I forget his name, but he looked at me and he said, "What'd you hit there?" I said, "I hit a 4-iron." He goes, "You hit that farther than we hit our drivers." And that was part of the thing, was the strength that I had accumulated from the working out, not just in the arms and the shoulders, but the core strength that I had developed to that point. Just unreal, just remarkable. And even more to the point was when we were in Vegas. I survived those 2 days in 115 and 120 degrees because, one, I was in shape and my muscles were conditioned to withstand that heat for 2 days. A lot of guys were breaking down. They were cramping. They were having a hard time keeping their swing. And when you're tired, the first thing you do is you tense up and you try harder. I was able to stay calm, stay loose, stay relaxed. My drive on 18 was just as far as the one I hit on the first day on number 1, So the working out, it definitely... there's a poster somewhere. Was it at Iron Grip? It says lifting weights prepares you to do the things you do in life only better, or something like that.
Yep.
Great saying, because it's true. When you're exercising and you're taking care of yourself, if you're someone who likes to do physical things, it enhances it. Even on the basketball court, where I'm not fundamentally sound, and don't get me wrong, I'm strong if you put me in a phone booth with somebody, but I was able to move a little bit better. I could dribble the ball around a little bit. I could go strong to the basket, and guys would literally have their hand on the ball, and I could push through it. Just some crazy things. But yeah, so the golf is back on and going. I got to mix in some time with the girls from the high school, but other than that, it'll be going. I hope by October to be back in form, and we'll see where I'm at. I did mention to someone, I don't remember who it was, I'm going to start looking into what U.S. Amateur Championship qualifying will be. I know I got to go probably to some state level thing, but I do want to try that this year.
It's a shame you have to be quiet, or I'd take the podcast on the road just for that. Just for that.
We'll see.
But we can definitely get some videos for the Instagram page.
YouTube. I was going to say, we'll see. Who's to say we can't go podcast right before I tee off or something?
No, I meant like during the round.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like me commentating your round. Like,
I don't see why you couldn't. I don't know. I don't know.
We'll see what we can do. We'll
it's
look
an
into
amateur event. It's not a sanctioned event.
True, so but still, you want to have respect for it all involved.
Fuck them. They're not paying my paycheck. What the hell, man? You don't know what that'll be worth.
No, you want to see something hilarious. Watch Manuel when he gets that first tee box. Because right when he walks up, he checks in, and then he goes through his warm-up routine. And if you've never played a sport where, like, you take that shit seriously, like, you kind of stretch half-ass, and then you go out there, get up, a couple shots or a couple running situations, whatever, you're a sprinter or a football player, you get your legs loose, and then you go. Manuel will take 30 to 45 minutes going club by club by club. Yeah. And if he feels something's fucked up in one of those clubs, he'll go back and fix something and then make a change, and then he'll come back around to that club and go through it. But when he first gets there and he's waiting his turn, he's talking. And what's funny is the joke is that Manuel's the old guy between the two of us at 38, but he's a young guy out there.
Yeah.
He's one of the younger guys. You see guys in their 60s out there. Yeah. I mean, it's regularly in their 50s. So it's funny to hear some of these guys have conversations with you. But every time Manuel walks up, they give away free shit, whether it's free teas or like whatever. First thing Manuel does, handful of teas, bam, put it in the bag. And then when they announce, like when you get to the first tee, they have a gentleman who, what is his position? He's
probably one of the tour directors.
There you go.
Yeah.
He announces each golfer as they get to the first tee, and he'll announce the group and so on. And everybody stands there and just kind of fake-ass golf claps for each person. And it's so fake because not one of those bastards want to see the other guy win.
Yeah.
Like, they just, oh, hey, yeah. To a smattering of claps.
I
mean,
I told you it would be an experience when I
asked
you to do that.
It's a blast.
It is definitely an experience.
But, so yeah, that's the golf going on this weekend. U.S. Open all the way through Father's Day.
We got, before we go on to the finals, I think that's what you're looking at, right?
Yeah, I was looking at some stuff.
Copa America is going on. America's Cup. That's pretty much all the Americas.
America?
North, South,
you want to
Central.
come to America? Bless.
So, for those of you that don't know, U.S. did make the quarters, and then they played last night against Ecuador.
Yes.
It come out with a 2-1 win.
The first time they've made the semi since 1995.
Yep. Was that the first time that had happened. Significance, U.S. soccer's, I don't want to say it's back on the rise, but it's showing signs of life after
showing progress.
Yeah, years of dormancy for U.S. soccer. It's been pathetic.
And there was a lot of people who felt like that with all this change that, yes, there was good things in it, but, the retirement of Landon Donovan and,
and then there's
stuff like that.
There's
there was
speculation that he was pushed out, too.
Yeah.
And Landon Donovan, if you're not a soccer guy, that's the highest scoring soccer player in U.S. history in international goals. He's got the record at like 58. The guy right behind him, Clint Dempsey, still playing.
I said this last night watching pieces of the game because during the halftime of the NBA Finals game, I flipped back and commercials and stuff. Clint Dempsey looks like he's coming off of a 3-day bender when he fucking plays. He looks like a druggy dude. Big old dark circles underneath his eyes. If he scratches his neck, I'm suspicious.
Yeah, for being, he's the older cat on the team, but for being an older cat, man, that guy's had a goal in every one of the U.S.'s games.
Yeah.
Except for the Colombia one, of course, because we were shut out. But, these guys, they've shown some very, very good skill. The only sad thing for them is they will probably have to go through Argentina to get to the finals, which is, good luck with that. Plus, they're going to be missing Jones and Woods and one other guy because Jones was ejected last night. Wood got his second yellow card last night, and they reset after last night's game. So they'll be missing 3 players tomorrow. Or when do they play? Might not
Tuesday.
Be Monday or Tuesday.
No, they play Tuesday. The winner of Argentina and Venezuela?
Venezuela, yeah. So hats off to them even if they don't get any further. I'd love to see them win. It would be awesome for the U.S. soccer program. It would catapult them up into an elite level.
USA! USA!
And for those of you that don't know, the U.S. is not ranked in the top 10 in the world.
No.
So this is pretty significant sports-wise.
It's a big thing for them, especially just on the level of, like, if you're an American soccer fan and don't come from an international background, generally, you know about the 3 major sports.
Yeah.
And baseball, basketball, and football. Soccer's not normally something that you watch. And there's a reason that they haven't been successful. And you don't hear a whole lot about it. It's not a big deal. I mean, they have Major League Soccer in the U.S., but it's not well known. You're more likely to know the women's team than you are the men's team.
Because they've got a couple of World Cups under their belt, plus a couple of international championships.
Plus a couple of good-looking women. Hello, Alex Morgan.
Yeah. So, Mexico-Chile play tomorrow. Colombia beat Peru today on penalty kicks. One of the most boring games I've seen in the Copas in the last week and a half. So, it went to penalty kicks. They won it 4-2. You got... tomorrow will be Mexico-Chile late, and then Argentina. No, Argentina's Sunday. Argentina's tomorrow. Argentina's the early game tomorrow. It'll be Argentina-Venezuela, and then Mexico and Chile in the evening. So a lot of sports to choose from tomorrow if you don't like one or the other, unless you're waiting for football, which there is nothing yet.
Yeah.
So get Copas out of the way.
So you got Copa, you got UFC fights.
You got Bellator tonight.
Sunday's the Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Which
U.S. Open will be on tomorrow, too.
Yes. So you have some good choices this weekend.
All right, so the meat and potatoes today, because there's a lot to talk about this.
Yes.
And
I've been waiting for this since last night.
People are pissed off about this. Let me just, before we get started into the debate, because that's what this is going to turn into, is a debate.
Well, since you decided to commit treason after Game 4...
I didn't commit treason. If you go back to the semis or the conference finals, when Cleveland was playing Toronto and Golden State was playing Oklahoma City, I remember saying the only way I thought Cleveland was going to lose was if Oklahoma City got in, because I just felt like Cleveland had everybody. There was no excuses. They was going to bring the best out of that team. Well, I wouldn't say they brought the best out of them, but I'm going to tell you what, no one's made Golden State look like they have outside of Cleveland. To win this title, Cleveland's going to have to do something that hasn't been done in 2 years, which is have Golden State lose 3 games in a row.
This is something that's never been done in the NBA Finals.
This is the 3rd time a team has come down from being down 3-1, but nobody's ever won the title.
No, this is the 33rd time that they forced a Game 7 and nobody's ever won.
I must have heard that wrong then, because I thought they said the 3rd time.
Yeah, to force the Game 7, it's the 33rd time. But it's the first time.
They're not only going to have to win, but the significance of what's going on here, they will have won 3 of the last 4. 2 of them on the road in Golden State, where Golden State just doesn't lose.
The last time it happened was, I want to say, in the 70s? Something like that?
That's going to be a guess to me. But.
So, obviously, the main story coming out of last night was Steph Curry and his wife, to be quite frank. For those of you who didn't see the game, you damn sure probably heard about it by now. Steph Curry fouls out of the game with about 2 minutes left and throws his mouthpiece and hits a guy in the front row and then gets thrown out off of 1 technical. Now, I've never seen somebody get thrown out on a 1 technical. If you get thrown out, it's because of 2. unless you committed a flagrant 2 foul.
But you understand why he got thrown out, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But if you're that to me, I don't understand the ruling. I'd have to look into that.
It isn't even about the ruling. It's about the discretion of the ref. It wasn't like he yelled at the ref or even made a hand gesture at the ref. Well, what I'm saying in perspective, it's not like he just yelled
that's
at the
not
ref.
what initiated
It's the action. We talked about this with Draymond's suspension. Mm-hmm. It wasn't a single action. It was a combination of things. It's one thing to turn and yell at the ref. It's another one to turn and yell at him and maybe kind of swing your arms as you're walking away. You're probably just going to get a technical. He took his mouthpiece out and threw it. Is it going to cause any damage? No, not unless he's carrying something illegal in his saliva. Okay, but one, it hit a fan. Two, the ref could be saying he was throwing it at him. Now, I was thinking about this today, and I don't think it's going to happen. It would have came out. To me, in my opinion, the NBA would be totally justified in suspending this guy for Game 7 because he took what's considered to be a piece of equipment, albeit a mouthpiece. What's it weigh? 2 ounces? An ounce and a half, maybe. He took a piece of equipment that was on the court and he threw it, regardless of where he threw it. If someone threw the basketball into the crowd, we're talking about someone being suspended the next game. But because it was a mouthpiece, we're not. There's a demeanor that they have to maintain, okay? That is one of those, I'm going to push you after you just knocked me down or stepped over me or whatever you want to call it, okay? Should he have been in that predicament? Most definitely not. That was a BS foul that they called on him. I didn't like it any more than anybody else because they're not letting him play. And they weren't consistent on what they were calling.
Did you feel like LeBron flopped on that last one? Because he fell down after that.
No more or less than he always does. He's known as, he's worse than these damn soccer players. A little bump and he's going to try to sell it. But then who doesn't? You know,
guys that aren't 6'8", 260.
There are guys who do it more than him. There are guys that do it less than him.
I agree. One of the worst advocates of this is Blake Griffin, who's 6'10", 6'11". But when he does it, it's when another big man slams into him, and then he overacts, where it's at least somewhat believable.
Well, let me tell you something. Okay, so we had a game last year. We coached girls, for those of you that don't know. We coached girls together. We had a game last year against a girl who we knew we had to get out of the game. Okay? And we kept sending our guard right at her. Drive the lane, go at her. Drive the lane, go at her. That's strategy, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you're going to tell me that what LeBron did wasn't just strategy? He knew Curry had 5. And if he gave it a little acting, maybe he could sell it. He sold it.
I have no problem with you going at the guy that has 5. I'm all for that. You know, I definitely think you should. I think you're dumb if you don't take advantage of that situation. But to oversell at 6'8", 260 is bullshit.
Why does it got to be oversell? It's a sell. It's a sell. He knew he had 5 fouls. He had to make it look like he got fouled. Now
they called the foul before he fell.
Well, okay. Maybe he's just trying. Again, this is LeBron we're talking about. I've never sit here and defended his actions like he doesn't do it. He does it. He's a flopper.
Steph Curry is 200 pounds soaking wet. Maybe.
What's the only way Golden State wins that game last night? What's the only thing that happens with 2 minutes? It was what, about 15 points at that point? At
that point,
okay,
yeah.
It's 15 points down, which to Golden State is nothing really.
Well, they had got it down to 8 at one point, and then
no, I'm talking about at that point where Steph Curry when he fouled out. Before he fouls out, what's the only way they're going to win that game?
Shooting threes.
Yeah, which Curry does blindfolded sometimes and makes him left and right. LeBron knew that. There's no doubt the whole freaking bench, the whole world knew that. The only way that they were going to say this is on ice is if Curry's not in the game. Because Thompson wasn't hitting anything. You saw an opportunity, you took it. Did anybody like it? No.
So, tell me why that doesn't make you question somebody's respect and integrity for the game. Because if you blatantly know that, like, what you're doing, like, that's the only way we're going to do it, like, that's almost a dirty tactic that you like, oh, well, fuck, I know it's not right, but I'm going to do it.
Any different than driving the lane on a guy who doesn't plant his feet?
Yes, very different.
What's the difference?
The difference is that if you're sitting here going, that's the guy we got to take out.
Yeah.
Not shut down, take out.
Get him out of the game.
Because he's going to be the guy that could really, bring them back.
So you don't believe in the enforcer theory? That there's a guy on the court that's just out there to pick
in
up
the
fouls?
80s and 90s? Fuck yes. But with the way the game has changed and been watered down, no. There's no place for that anymore. If you want to tell me that the game is different and the game's evolved, I've sat here and said that I don't agree with old timers saying that they could smoke the Warriors and shit like that because it's a different era and different rules. I've sat here and said that LeBron wouldn't last in the late 80s, early 90s because they'd beat the piss out of him. Yeah. That being said, you can't tell me that there's room or even any place for an enforcer in today's game. Because if you're going to do shit like that, look at who the enforcers were. Bill Laimbeer. Okay? That's just one off the top. Charles Oakley. Okay?
Malone.
Karl Malone. Those guys, if they were the ones that stood in the middle of the paint today, they would be missing half the season for the shit that they pulled. Let's be honest.
True.
So, no, in today's game, there is no place for an enforcer. Now, I will give credit where credit is due. LeBron attacked the basket. Yeah. And that was something he hasn't done in this series very well. He put the ball on the floor, and when they left him and tried to make him shoot jump shots, he made them. Good for him. Here's my problem with this. And all you nut-hugging dick suckers that are on LeBron, he did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of people going, this guy gets mistreated, he doesn't get calls. And then you turn around and watch him drop 40 and go, he's the greatest ever. No, motherfucker, he's 6'8", 260. He is the best God-given talent athlete that the NBA and this planet has ever seen. There is no taking that away from him. God, if he never picked up another weight, again, never did another workout, that title for him would not change. So, for him to drop 40 in back-to-back nights, yes, that's an accolade, and it puts him in some elite company. But don't tell me that this is this magnificent news and it caught everybody by surprise, and that this adds to this huge, long resume that he has. You guys, and I say you guys as in society and the basketball community, anointed this kid the chosen one when he came into the league. So, this is what he was supposed to do. And you guys want to sit here and put him on ESPN all fucking night long and do nothing but his highlights. You know, Kyrie Irving dropped 41 in Game 5.
No, I didn't say that. So just so we're clear.
No.
I'm just saying so we're clear. I'm not. We talked about this the other day. The only way they win this series is if Irving shows up. If Irving does not show up, LeBron could drop 60. They're not going to win.
And they said this. I don't know if you watched any of the post-game conferences.
I watched some of it.
Bless you. Good Lord. Dude's allergic to some shit. In the conference, Klay Thompson was like, we got to do a better job of stopping the guys around him.
Yeah.
Which is true. You cannot let J.R. Smith hit open threes.
Yeah.
You cannot let Kyrie Irving go off. I mean, if he gets his, he gets his, but you can't let him go off.
True.
You know? And that's a big thing. I think that from the standpoint of the Warriors, they got to do a better job defensively on the role players.
Yeah.
Kevin Love faced a lot of foul trouble early in that game.
I told you about that thing I heard on the radio, right?
No.
Cavs win. What's Love got to do with
it? No. There was a picture, I think it was like ESPN or SportsCenter posted, and it was a picture of a Cavs fan, and he was holding a picture, and there was a trash can with Kevin Love's head sticking out. And it said, no chill.
No chill.
I mean, that's pretty rough. You know what I mean? And for somebody like him who has the option to leave this year,
yeah,
could mean something.
It could. I think they realized that they don't need him. I think they thought he was going to be a bigger piece, and in 2 years, he hasn't been.
Yeah.
So, build around Irving, pick up another big man, and let's go for. I mean, I don't know why Mozgov isn't playing more, but again, I think they've proven they don't need Love in his contract. You know?
No, I don't think.
I think that LeBron thought he did, and it was a good idea on paper. We talked about it when it happened, but it's just not panning out.
No. That being said, the Warriors shot like shit. Yeah. They started the game 4 of 21 from the field. How do you sit there and look at that and go, oh no, this game is something that should.
First 9 possessions, 0 for 7 shooting with 2 turnovers.
Yeah.
You're just.
They finished with 14 turnovers.
I don't know how you overcome that.
One of the things they pointed out in the post game was that, much like in the game before in Game 5, the Cavaliers won the game in the first quarter.
Yeah.
They buried them in the first quarter and dug themselves into a hole they really, at certain points, looked like they were never going to get out of.
Yeah.
They made a run down the stretch at the end, but it wasn't nowhere near what people were looking for. And every time that they would make a run, seemingly Kyrie or LeBron had an answer. So I mean that's heartbreaking. But one of the things Steve Kerr kept saying in the postgame was, if you told me that we get one game at home for the NBA title, I'll take it every time.
Yeah.
And I believe that's true. Why you don't want to play anywhere else? You get to be home.
Yeah.
And just for the record, let me say this right now. If you go back and listen to previous episodes, I believe it was like Game 3 or Game 4, I said they were not going to get swept. I said that there was going to be nights or a night where the Warriors had a bad shooting night and all the calls went Cleveland's way. Guess what? Game 6 was that night.
Now, there's a fun part. We're 3-3, Game 7, okay? If you go back, they've only had one game worse. They did have a game worse than this. I think it was 4 that they won.
Yes.
In Cleveland.
Yes.
I think when they went up 3-1.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if Cleveland splits or wins those 2 games in Cleveland now? They shot bad enough for Cleveland to steal one from them. Actually, no, it was one in Golden State.
Yeah.
It was in Oakland. They shot bad enough for Cleveland to steal one, and they didn't. And that's why they say you've got to win one on the road if you're going to have any chance. Because you're just going to wind up back in their house, and, well, guess what? We're going back to Oakland.
Yes.
Going back to Oakland, and now what? Are you going to show up again, LeBron? It'd be nice to see you show up, but historically, it hasn't happened. It has not happened.
You can't call Ray Allen now, bitch.
You at least see people leaving the stadium early.
I hope, and just for selfish reasons, I genuinely hope that it's a blowout for the Warriors. But, a close game is always fun to watch.
Yes.
It's always fun to watch as a fan. Neither one of these teams are my teams, but, being a California kid, the Warriors are fun to watch. Steph Curry, fun guy. One of the biggest things coming out of Steph Curry yesterday with that mouthpiece throw and him getting ejected, I enjoyed that for the fact that it showed real emotion and his passion. From a guy who generally goes, I hear this shit all the time, people trash talking me, and it is what it is. And he just keeps doing what he's doing and lets his play on the court speak for itself.
I think the calls last night finally got to him.
Yes.
I think he saw enough of it going one way last night that he went, hey, what the fuck is going on here, man?
I'll ask you the same question one of the reporters asked Klay Thompson. Do you feel that as a back-to-back MVP that he got disrespected in the NBA Finals this series? Not just in Game 6, but this series.
Disrespected in what manner?
As far as calls going his way and stuff like that. Because let's not play dumb here. LeBron gets calls for being LeBron. When Kobe played, Kobe got called. Jordan got calls. You know what I mean? Is he getting disrespected to a certain degree?
I would agree. I would say yes. And I don't think... Did he say yes?
Klay Thompson said that he felt like partly yes, that he was getting disrespected.
I would agree with that because I have watched every game, and when it comes into when the scale comes into play where they've got to choose a call to make, it does seem to go LeBron's way most of the time. And is it because it's LeBron? Absolutely.
Yes.
What do you want? To be the champion, you got to take the champion's belt. And if Curry wants to shut them up and say, there is a reason I won the damn MVP. This is it right here. You see this? This is ours. It's here. It's in Oakland. It's with us. It's not in Cleveland. Otherwise, what good is it going to do you? What if you want to be on the all-time list, you got to play like the all-time leaders.
Yeah.
And that's why the naysayers, we've talked about the MVP discussion about Curry. That's why the naysayers don't give Curry that credit. He's not that complete player worthy of the MVP. Kind of like the way LeBron talked about it, skirted around it, should we say? I wish they'd just come out and say it. He's not the MVP. He's the best shooter in the league.
I disagree.
If you take him off the team still performs well.
I'm not saying they're not a contender if they take him off the team. They're definitely not the favorite anymore.
No.
If they take him off the team. But he definitely won the MVP.
Who means more to their team, LeBron or Curry? This is not an argument for LeBron's MVP. I'm just...
No, just in general, and this is the problem I had, I think it was 2 years ago when LeBron won it, that I felt like it wasn't true. It was 2 years ago when he was still in Miami. Because I said that if you took him off that team and you left Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, and the other guys, Udonis Haslem, the other guys that were on that team, they still would be number one in the East because of how weak the East has been.
Yeah.
And that they still would make the finals. And to me, that doesn't make an MVP. It's not the MVP of your team.
No,
it's the MVP of the league.
Yeah.
And to me, Steph Curry, by far, was the MVP of the league. Not just because of his shooting, but for the fact that he made guys better. What he does draws attention to himself and opens up things for other people. That's what makes him the MVP.
Okay, fair.
I mean, if you look at LeBron, what he does not open up things for other people. I mean, he defers a lot, but his game doesn't let other people necessarily do those things because that's not his style of play. Steph's style of play plays into that. As a shooter, your job is to do what? Draw everybody's attention on you. And when they start to believe that you're going to pull, then you start attacking the basket. And once you start to get people coming in your general direction or eyes are on you because they're watching, other people are now free to do things. Damn, dude.
Something in the house, man. I'm telling you, the same thing was happening to me.
So I definitely think that he was by far the MVP. It was not a fluke. It was not, oh, well, he's the best shooter, so he got it. You know, that to me is not right. Now, the other thing that I felt like from an emotional standpoint that continues to get disregarded is LeBron's shit talking and his demeanor. I'm all for a dude that wants to fire back and shit talk back. I love that. When I play the game, I'm a shit talker. When shit's going well, I talk shit. And I want the other dude across from me to be talking shit to me because it gives me motivation to shut that guy up. And I hope that my shit talking does the same to the person that's playing defense on me. Because then, not only in the grander picture as a team, that it's causing you to go ahead and push forward and light that fire, but as an individual, you take that on yourself to step your game up. Yeah. Which is even better. And for him last night to block Steph, it was Steph's mistake. Because if you watch Draymond, he had a dunk and stopped thinking LeBron was going to keep going and got blocked. Steph goes and stops and fakes, and then LeBron stays and blocks him. If Steph goes under the basket, uses the basket to protect himself, now LeBron's got a different issue. Now he's got to go around the basket and stuff like that, and it's a lot harder, possibly a foul. I don't have a problem with the shit talking when it's, people are shit talking back and forth. But don't stay quiet the whole fucking game and then choose the moment that everybody's like all up in the air with big old raging boners about, and then look back at the guy and go, get that shit out of here, bitch. Yeah. And then walk off. He did the same thing several years ago to John Lucas III when he played for the Bulls. LeBron cut on a backdoor layup. They threw an alley-oop, and he jumped. You can find it on YouTube. Jumped over John Lucas III, who is 6 feet tall. Cleared him with his knees. Then, after the game was over, Rachel Nichols said, how did it feel jumping over another person? And he goes, I never even saw him. I didn't know he was there. And then they showed him the playback. On the playback, you see this jackass jump over him and dunk, and then he stares him down as he looks away and takes off. Don't bullshit us. You saw him. You knew. So, for you to sit here and go, this is why I get away from social media, I don't do this stuff, I don't get engaged in that. I'm all for the emotion of the game. Fuck yes, absolutely. But don't act like you just blocked a 6-foot point guard when you're 6'8", 260, and that it's some big old deal and got to yell, get that shit out of here, bitch. To me, that proved more about Steph Curry and how he plays the game and how it's affected LeBron versus the athleticism of LeBron James. Because let's be honest, that's what he's supposed to do to somebody smaller than him like that. He played it right. I'll give him credit. He didn't bite on the fake. But as far as, it was, this big deal, was it momentous? Maybe. But not enough to turn around and shit talk the guy. Yeah. You did what you were supposed to do to a smaller player. Come on. That's like Wilt blocking John Stockton and then going, hey, get that shit out of here, bitch. Come on. You can't tell me that that's warranted.
So Kerr and Curry were both fined
$25,000. Yep. Kerr was fined for
the criticism of the refs.
Yeah, the criticism of the officials, and then they also were. He went ahead and fined Curry $25 for the throwing of the mouthpiece. So he wasn't suspended a game.
That will bail him out.
Here's a good question for you. We were talking about the tweet that his wife sent out. The tweet she sent out was, I don't know if the game's rigged for money or ratings or whichever, but I just saw this live and it's BS and I'm not going to stay quiet. I'm sorry. Do you think that if you're the NBA, it is Game 7, it is 3-3, and you have your poster boy on one side in LeBron James, and you have your superstar in the other side and Steph Curry, is it wise to suspend Steph Curry?
No. It's definitely not wise because That's your NBA. That's your MVP. It's your MVP and arguably the most popular player right now around. Not just because of his play, but because of the kind of person he's proven to be. I forget one of the guys on Mad Dog yesterday, Babchick. I think he said he's a good guy. So far, nothing's out of the closet. So far he doesn't have anything in the closet.
That?
Curry.
Yes.
So the guy, everybody likes him. If you suspend him, you are going to draw a ridiculous amount of criticism for it.
Not only that, but in the money sense,
yes.
If you're the NBA, you just lost how many millions of viewers?
I don't know, and that's the other part. The U.S. soccer game last night actually had a higher rating than the NBA Finals game last night.
Well, when it got blown up early, I guarantee you people were clicking the channel.
Yeah. So
Not
my
house.
only issue with the suspension, with the non-suspension, should I say, is if that's a basketball, and he got mad, fouled out or not, and turned and threw it, and it hit a fan. They're going to eject him the way they did. They're going to give him a technical. They're probably even going to flagrant one him at that point because it's a ball and he could have done some damage. If you're trying to clean up the game, as I've heard many times, which is the reason they're supposed to be calling the hand check, which is the reason they've been real ticky-tack. Well, I'm going to call them ticky-tack because I started coaching before they got tight on the defensive positioning, and it wasn't there. They used to let them play a little bit, and they don't no more. If you're legitimately trying to clean this up, it has to be during all aspects of the game, regular season and playoffs, and it's got to encompass everybody from the league minimum to the whoever's making top money and everybody in between. Letting him think he could throw that away like that is the equivalent to saying, and I'm not sorry for this reference, it's the equivalent to that Stanford kid only getting 6 months in jail for raping an unconscious victim.
Was that the one that she was in the alley? The guys broke it up?
Yeah, the two guys broke him up. They held him down. Yeah. That's the same, okay? I'm sorry, but a crime is a crime. There are harsher crimes, don't get me wrong, and this was considered a violent outburst. Again, if it's a ball or maybe he picks up a chair and throws it, we're talking about a suspension right now. We're talking about Game 7 without Curry instead of talking about a $25,000 fine. This is not holding these guys to the standard of, hey, if you fuck up, you're going to pay for it. This is saying, you know what, don't worry about it. It wasn't that bad. It was just a mouthpiece. Don't do that shit again. You know better than that.
I disagree because I think it's a case-by-case basis. It was not a ball. It's not the same. Like, if you want to play the what-if game, that's a problem.
It's not a what-if. I'm just saying...
Because you just said, what if it was a ball? That's a what-if.
It's a violent outburst.
It's an emotional outburst. I wouldn't say it's a violent outburst.
Emotional, to me, would be him yelling. Violent means he took something and created something physical with it. That's when I say violent, that's what I mean. Okay, so we talked about the other day.
Okay, so before you go any farther with this, then why was Ron Artest, Meta World Peace, whatever the fuck you want to call him these days, allowed to continue to play after the Malice in the Palace?
Now, again, another instance where they missed an opportunity to clean shit up. Now, that's a little different because there were some older rules, but again, he should have been suspended.
But to me, if you want to say that the cases have to be the same across the board, I don't give a shit who was in charge because it was David Stern back then, not Adam Silver. You don't ever cross that line of going up into the stands and getting physical with a fan.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit if the dude throws a clean fucking drink on you and you're soaked in beer. You don't do that.
That
was his argument.
Yeah.
His argument was, oh, well, he threw a drink on me. And you know how many famous people, whether you're a musical artist, you're an actor, whatever, get shit thrown on them walking red carpets or whatever the case may be, all the fucking time. And they have to keep their composure. You're a professional athlete.
Yeah.
You do the same.
Do your job, let everybody else do theirs.
It's security's job to nail those people and take them out of there and all that stuff. You do not walk up there and do all that shit. Now, I agree with Steven Jackson, Jermaine O'Neal, those guys that swung and knocked people out, that got half of a season and got so many games. Absolutely. There's no room. There's no excuse for that. Now, Ron Artest should have been done.
Yeah.
There was no reason for him to ever play this game again. And you could say, oh, well, he deserves a second chance. Fuck that. You are a professional athlete. Once you get to that level, you're not a young guy anymore. You're not a rookie in the league anymore that's learning the ways of the NBA where you can make a fuck up there, here, and there that's not a major one and go, well, he's still learning. No. There is no reason for that. You are to uphold a standard as a professional athlete to make sure that shit like that does not happen. You keep your cool. And to me, this was nowhere near that. Yes, he threw his mouthpiece. I don't think he was intentionally throwing it at the guy. And I'll even say this. If he throws it upward, like up in the air where like it's away from people and it comes down, I think people are fighting for that mouthpiece.
Yeah.
Versus, well, no, he threw it direct. He was pissed. He threw it in a line and the guy was right there.
Now the other half of that. The ref was in the vicinity, and the ref
he was to the left.
And the ref, well, the way he threw it,
he grabbed it and threw it straight.
You could have, I don't want to say you could have thought, but the ref could have thought, shit, he was going to throw that at me and realize what he was doing and just let it go over there. That's why he got ejected. The ref said, hey, he was probably going to throw that shit at me. I'm just going to get him out of here. Okay, fine. I think we see a rule about, I don't want to say mouthpieces, but on-field equipment, whether they're elbow bands, shooting sleeves, or what, about throwing them into the crowd next year, because you don't just put yourself at risk with fines or suspensions. You put the league at risk now. The labels, they call it the shield in the NFL. Your label's on the line now. Now the NBA's on the hook. Let's say that mouthpiece hit the guy in the eye.
Takes his eye out. Yeah.
Takes his eye out. Now the guy can't see. That's going to cost somebody. That's going to cost somebody a shit ton of money.
Right.
And again, to me, this is just, okay, look, I wouldn't be saying this if I hadn't heard interviews of them trying to say, we're trying to clean this up. We don't want these kids doing this. The NFL's real big on that, which is why Rice got what he got. Everybody that's gotten suspended in the last 2 years has had that. That's why it's happening, because these guys are saying, you're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. We're going to hold you accountable. As much as I don't want Vontaze Burfict held accountable, he will have to face some kind of suspension because it's a defenseless receiver. Do I think it was malicious? No, I played that position before. I know what it's like to come flying across. But the action was still there. It needs to be dealt with. He's not suspended. This goes back to his wife. Is this about money? You're absolutely damn right it is. It is most definitely about money.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
You know what? Guess what? I don't know what the figures are, but it's got to be in the billions.
Oh, absolutely.
It's got to be. So
ABC's not going to call the NBA and go, Steph Curry's not playing? I don't know about this deal.
Yeah.
Definitely, definitely about money. Now, the other side of that coin with her, I don't know. Did you see the responses she got?
I did not.
It was split about 50-50. You had people saying, like, she needs to be quiet, that, stuff like that. One, I forget, it was Brent Grimes' wife, tweeted her and said, leave the petty tweeting to women like me because your husband has endorsement deals and stuff like that to take care of. So just be smart.
Yeah, no shit.
I thought that was pretty funny.
Talk about costing your own man. Well, your family some money,
but
man.
I think that, for every bad, there was good. There was a lot of people that stepped up and said, hey, she's a person. She's not just trying to be the trophy wife of the MVP and the champion, that she has her own personality. She has her own mind. She's speaking up, for her man and for the game and what she saw and stuff like that. So it was a little bit of both. I mean, it was, and she deleted the tweet. I don't know if it was late last night or this morning. She deleted it, of course, as many people do in a fit of emotion. They post shit and then they take it down after they think about it and the dust is settled. And people decided, the best one I saw was somebody put, "Oh, you forgot this," and reposted the picture of it. So it was pretty good.
We got another Brenda Warner on our hands.
Yeah. So it was good, but definitely controversial for sure. Definitely intense for the Warriors and the Cavs. Glad they're going back to Oakland to do Game 7. And Game 7 is at 5 o'clock on Sunday on ABC. So if you don't want to watch golf, don't want to watch NASCAR, or anything like that on Sunday, the NBA Finals are on Sunday night. So do something with your dad early in the afternoon, or early morning, so that way you guys
watch
can
a basketball game with him.
Watch the game in the evening.
Yeah.
So as we wind down here, we're at the hour mark.
Yeah.
We're over.
Real quick, just going to mention something real quick because it was a big story this week. We try to do something outside of the sports world a little bit here. That little kid at Disneyland that was grabbed by the alligator.
Oh, yes.
Did not hear about that?
Yes, I did.
That poor family from Nebraska.
They were in the lagoon at Disneyland, and the alligator. It was
that poor little
a
kid,
2-year-old
kid.
It was in ankle deep water, and the alligator came and snagged it. They said there was puncture wounds on the father for trying to go back and get him.
Yeah, man, that is crazy. That is just ridiculous.
That's another animal situation with kids.
There's a lot of jokes. Of course, there's going to be a lot of jokes about this and stuff. But again, making light of just, man, the poor family lost their kid. You know, they did find the child in around the same area, I believe, where he was taken. And
mangled up.
A lot of people are thinking, you know what, you're lucky you found your kid, because I guess they had killed 4 gators to that point in that little pond. Cutting them open, looking to see if maybe they ate the kid.
See, if you gotta kill 4 fucking gators, maybe you should shut down the lagoon.
How much on the hook is Disney for this? I'm told, I haven't seen anything, and you can't find anything on it. I'm told that all that's around there is no swimming. There's no danger alligators. There's no maintain distance from lagoon. I don't know if you saw that video. I think I showed it to you. That fucking alligator walking across the damn golf course.
You didn't show me the video, but I saw it. Yeah.
Did you see that?
Where the guy actually walks out so they could see how big he is.
Did you see how damn big that thing is?
Yeah.
I mean,
that alligator was a legit dinosaur walking across the golf course.
Hey, I'm a big guy. I don't think I can wrestle an alligator. That damn thing would have fucking chomped me in two.
Bro, you could have rode that fucking alligator.
Rode it? There could have been 5 of us on the back of that damn thing, you know? But I just, just a little bit of world news there. Disney's going to be on the hook for some money because that family lost. They're Midwest family. I was at the Midwest with Janessa when we dropped her off in Kansas. They're real, I don't want to say simple in a negative way, but they're real basic people. You know, they enjoy the simple things in life. That had to have been the event of a lifetime for them, and now it's a nightmare, losing a child over there. So thoughts and prayers with that family.
Absolutely.
As they start to cope with that. But that's the humane side of us there. Just want to send our thoughts and prayers out to them. Cyborg, if you're listening, hey, thumbs up to you. We think you're listening, and if you are, we're here. We're your fans. We're going to watch next time you fight.
We're looking at the next 2 episodes. Next Friday, we'd like to take some questions. So I'm going to put up some stuff on the Instagram page. If you have any comments or questions or topics you want to hear us talk about, feel free to drop those on the Instagram page or on the YouTube comment section. There's one on the Podbean section. Again, you can find us on Instagram at totally_unprofessional. The Podbean link is in our bio on the Instagram page. You can find us on YouTube at Totally Unprofessional Podcast in the search bar.
Monday we're going to talk some wrestling.
So Monday, Gio will be back. It's been about a month since he's been gone, and the Money in the Bank pay-per-view is Sunday.
I was going to say, we got a pay-per-view.
Yeah, the Money in the Bank pay-per-view is Sunday.
Okay, now can you explain something to me real quick?
Yes.
Seeing as how I'm on the ignorant side, where the fuck did they come up with all these names for pay-per-views? This is some bullshit. It used to be WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and Royal Rumble.
Okay, that's 3 out of the 4 major ones.
What's the other major one?
Survivor Series.
Okay, I'm sorry. And Survivor Series used to be a team of 5 versus a team of 5.
They still do it.
And someone survived. That was the whole damn card.
That's how they do it still, for the most part. They still have those traditional Survivor Series matches is what they're called. Those are the 4 major ones, but now they have smaller ones in between those.
So some of the champions or something.
So you'll have different matches. Every month there's a pay-per-view.
So what's this Money in the Bank?
Money in the Bank came from a match that was created by Chris Jericho.
Really?
Back at WrestleMania 21.
I started listening to his podcast.
He's got a good one.
Talking Jericho?
Talk is Jericho. He's got a good one. He created the match at WrestleMania 21. WrestleMania 32 was this year from Arlington Stadium, AT&T Stadium, whatever you want to call it. So 11 years ago, he came up with this idea of putting 7-8 guys in a ladder match, and instead of hanging a belt that everybody's fighting for some sort of championship, you're fighting for a contract, and that contract says anytime in the course of 365 days, 1 year, you can cash in that contract and challenge whoever's the world heavyweight champion. And they named it the Money in the Bank ladder match. And it went on through WrestleMania 26 as the Money in the Bank ladder match at WrestleMania. Then, shortly thereafter, they decided to branch off and make it its own pay-per-view.
Wow.
So now it's its own pay-per-view, and they have that's one of the featured matches. Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight Championship is the main event. AJ Styles versus John Cena is on that card. 4-way tag team match between the Vaughn Villains, the Club, Enzo Big Cass, and the New Day for the tag team titles is also on that card.
What time is that at?
It starts at 5. If you have the network, it's essentially like Netflix, so you can start and stop it anytime you want, unless you pay for it on pay-per-view.
You got the network?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So I'll be watching the finals game, and then I'll go back and watch Money in the Bank because they both start at the same time. And I'll be watching Money in the Bank Monday after I get out of work, so that way I can be prepared. And we'll be podcasting a little bit later Monday night.
Yeah. Just because we want to get Gio in.
And also because Monday Night Raw will have happened by the time we get to there, so we got to make sure we're kind of up to date on what happened on Monday as well. For those of you who listened to the wrestling episode, that was so far to this point, that's been the biggest response we've got for that one. Yeah. So, like we said, Gio's going to be back regularly. It's been about a month. We decided, hey, we need to get him back in here. Some things have happened. There's some things going on that are going to happen that they've already announced with the company, and we want to get Gio in here, and him and I will talk about the new stuff and get Manuel up to date on what's going on. And
maybe I'll watch Money in the Bank.
And there you go. We can get Manuel brushed up on some
Money in the Ghetto.
There's a big deal. They're talking of going back to the brand split, where guys are exclusive to either Monday Night Raw or SmackDown. Yeah. And as of July 19th, SmackDown will be going live on Tuesdays on the USA Network, which is also who carries Monday Night Raw. So there's some good stuff we'll be talking about for sure. Seth Rollins' return, AJ Styles and John Cena. We'll see what happens there. Traditionally, John Cena has a history of burying good guys that are new. So I'm sure Gio will have an opinion on that. Yeah. So as we said, Wrestling Monday, hopefully fan questions Friday.
Friday.
So
get them in there.
So for Sunday, NBA Finals, you still sticking with the Cleveland Cavaliers?
I'm sticking with the Cavs. I think they're going to pull something special.
So I'm going to stick with my prediction. As I've said, with the Warriors. I said they were going to come back in the OKC series. You did. And I said they're going to win the NBA Finals. We'll see how right I am. Yeah. You said it earlier. Speaking of wrestling, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And they're the defending champions. Yeah. And at home.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. So this has been Friday, the Friday edition of Totally Unprofessional, the podcast. We'll see you Monday.
See you Monday.